You know, a funny thing happened on the way to World War III. A pipeline blew up. You might have heard something about that.
Yeah, that maniac Putin did it.
That maniac Putin.
His own pipeline.
So yeah, of course he decided to hurt his own economy in the middle of a war that way. Sweden has closed their probe into the Nordstream pipeline blast. Sweden has said it closed an investigation into the 2022 explosions that crippled Russia's Nord Stream pipelines. Prosecutors in Stockholm announced on Wednesday they had wrapped up their probe into the apparent attack in September 2022, nearly 7 months after Russia invaded Ukraine. The still unexplained explosions on Nord Streams 1 and 2 came as Europe struggled to wean itself off the huge volumes of Russian gas imports that they delivered to Germany, with the Kremlin, Ukraine, and West all swapping accusations.
What? They struggled like it's heroin, and they're like, we just can't stop doing heroin. And then luckily, the place where we were getting our heroin from exploded.
Well, according to Putin, as we'll see later, he says Nord Stream 2 can still operate, if I understand what he's saying correctly. The Swedish authorities, who have previously said that they suspect an unknown state actor of responsibility, said that they are halting the probe after verifying that the case does not fall under its jurisdiction. The primary purpose, public prosecutor Mats Lundquist said, had been to, quote, to establish whether Swedish citizens were involved in the act and whether Swedish territory was used to carry out the act.
What?
Neither case applied, he added. Basically, they're saying, well, we didn't do it.
Oh, the investigation is...
So the investigation isn't relevant because we didn't do it.
Well, is anybody in Sweden in the CIA, and also is Sweden in Norway?
Probably not. A probe by Germany's prosecutors is still ongoing, Lundquist noted, adding that his team has handed over material to the German investigators. The undersea explosions ruptured the Nord Stream 1 pipeline on September 27th. It was Russia's main natural gas supply route to Germany until Moscow cut off supplies at the end of August that year. The blast also damaged the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which never entered service because Germany suspended its certification process shortly before Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. Beyond the geopolitical impact, the leaks triggered an environmental disaster, with local wildlife affected and huge volumes of methane discharged into the Baltic Sea in what analysts believe could be the single largest release of methane due to human activity. More than 16 months after the sabotage, there is no accepted explanation. All right.
Wait, so is the largest methane emission? So I got to stop eating meat, I guess, to make up for this.
We got pretty soon. I understand at the next Davos meeting, they're going to make us all wear butt plugs. So this is Tucker asking Vladimir Putin about it.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби, у вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
Знаете,
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
But I'm confused. I mean, that's the biggest act of industrial terrorism ever, and it's the largest emission of CO2 in history. Okay, so if you had evidence, and presumably given your security services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West, did this, why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media.
You have the
The
Taylor
ultimate
Swift.
beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So it is possible to get involved in this work, but it is cost prohibitive, so to speak. We can simply shine the spotlight on our sources of information, and we will not achieve results. It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly. It's true.
Yes, but here's a question you may be able to answer. You worked in Germany, famously. The Germans clearly know that their NATO partner did this, and it damaged their economy greatly. It may never recover. Why are they being silent about it? That's very confusing.
All right, so this is kind of the second part of this. So the first part of his answer, he was cagey about it, the way I'm reading it. He's basically saying, I know you did it, the United States. You know the United States did it. Yeah. Everybody knows the United States did it. But the United States has so much control over world media that even if we revealed evidence that they did it, it still wouldn't be covered that way. It's very cagey. He kind of gets around addressing whether they have evidence that the United States did it or not.
It is true, by the way. It is. People still think that he interfered with the election to this goddamn day. You could have evidence. There's so many things now. It blows my mind from being on the show for a couple years is shit that I would go, come on, that I would do that. And every time I've done that, I've been wrong.
Yeah.
Not literally.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
North Koreans that Kim Jong-il didn't invent the cheeseburger than you would this obvious thing that obviously America did that fucking Biden said we're going to do. And Victoria Nuland said, thank God that happened. Like, if you don't see it, you don't want to see it. What are you going to do? They didn't do that propaganda in the election. It is very expensive. Only a dumbass country like us would blow money putting propaganda for nonsense around the world. Only we would do that or have the means to do it.
Keaton?
Well, you know what they say about Putin? He puts the KG in KGB. Oh, what a joke. Oh, you got a drum set in there? I'll be here all week.
In Russia, when joke die, it really die.
And he puts the fuck Biden in FBS.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
We used to have, what was that guy's name? You remember, Kurt? Yakov Smirnoff.
Yeah,
he was America's favorite Cold War comedian.
Yeah. In Russia, pipeline blows you up.
Yes.
No, what he said there, I mean, look, he says, you know, it's hard to win a propaganda victory against the West. And, you know, another point that he makes at some point in this interview is that the West basically has lost the information war. They've lost the ideological war around the world anyway, to the point where they just enforce their way of life by use of actual like physical force and violence. And so what's the point in trying to win a propaganda victory? Everybody knows, as Kurt said, what happened. Joe Biden is on camera saying we're going to do it if he invades. Yeah. But Biden actually said, we will. Right. I forget if you have that video.
We're going to show it.
Paraphrasing if you have the video. But he says the exact thing. Yeah.
He compared Putin to a flock of lemur later on. We have that part.
Yeah, wait a minute. I've got to watch some animal shows before I understand how to analyze this.
So he goes on to talk about how hard Germany is getting fucked. And frankly, he's perplexed by it, and so am I. So let's hear what he has to say.
To me, why wouldn't the Germans say something about it?
This also confuses me. But today's German leadership is guided by the interests of the collective West rather than its national interests. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain the logic of their action or inaction. After all, it is not only about Nord Stream 1, which was blown up, and the Nord Stream 2 was damaged, but one pipe is safe and sound and gas can be supplied to Europe through it. But Germany does not open it. We are ready, please. There's another route through Poland called Yamal Europe, which also allows for large flow. Poland has closed it, but Poland packs from the German hand. It receives money from the pan-European funds, and Germany is the main donor to these pan-European funds. Germany feeds Poland to a certain extent. and they closed their route to Germany. Why? I don't understand. Ukraine, to which the Germans supply weapons and give money. Germany is the second sponsor of the United States in terms of financial aid to Ukraine. There are 2 gas routes through Ukraine. They simply closed one route, the Ukrainians. Open the second route and please get gas from Russia. They do not open it. Why don't the Germans say, look guys, we give you money and weapons, open up the valve, please, let the gas from Russia pass through for us. We're buying liquefied gas at exorbitant prices in Europe, which brings the level of our competitiveness and economy in general down to zero. Do you want us to give you money? Let us have the decent existence. Make money for our economy, because this is where the money we give you comes from. They refuse to do so. Why? Ask them. That is what is like in their heads. Those are highly incompetent people.
I'm just going to say, I think we just had like a minor earthquake.
We did. Oh, I did fart.
Just one of those. Listen, man, you got to get your WEF approved butt plugs, Kurt.
I've been, but you know what it is? It's my new bug diet. I've been trying to get.
Oh, you're on the bug diet.
We gotta pull it together. And
they say when you go on the bug diet, you shit for about 18 months, but then it clears up and you feel much better. You have more energy than you've ever had before.
I hunt my own bugs like Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, no. You have to get you have to get only bugs with the WEF label. So it is very interesting because Germany is theoretically an ally, but they're the foremost industrial power in Europe. What's going on? Are we trying to take them down too? Because Putin lays out all these ways that they could get gas to Germany. Now, I take him at his word. I haven't had time to really investigate this, but given that I haven't seen the usual suspects with their hair on fire screaming about how that's a lie, I think we can assume that what he just described about different ways they could get gas to Germany is probably accurate.
You just read that article that showed the Al Jazeera thing. It said it still works. They had already, before this happened, and thank God they got that done before
they have the Nordstream
right?
too.
They didn't approve it. They've been destroying themselves this whole time, deindustrializing. Right. Look what they're doing to farmers. Why are they doing this? So a few billionaires can own all the shit. So yeah, they don't give a shit about Germany. That Ursula EU, what's her name?
The question is, why doesn't Germany complain? Like
well,
that's
really
the
exact thing.
Yeah,
this is the core conflict between leaders like Obama and Biden and Merkel and leaders like Putin and yes, Trump also. This is the core thing. Whereas, Putin really has contempt, just as Trump does, for leaders who would rather integrate their states into these broader international networks than look out for their own people, right? Putin has a real contempt for that. So does Trump. And so that's the real conflict at the heart of this. And you see it right there. He's saying this makes no sense for Germany, but Germany is just part of the West at the end of the day.
Right.
And they take their responsibility to their international network more seriously than they take their responsibility to their own people. And that just does not make sense to these nationalist leaders. And it doesn't make sense to increasing percentages of people within these countries, including ours, which is why Trump's message has remained so potent for so long, because it's very obvious in this country that our leaders are more concerned with maintaining a certain status quo within the international community than they are with looking out for the average person here.
I think that's exactly right. I think that's exactly why. And if you look at what the real battle is of this moment, what do all of these things have in common? The farmers, the war,
COVID,
it's all the same thing.
COVID, censorship. It is all a fight to get the people to accept a level of government and elite domination that is inherently contradictory to the idea of democracy and rule by the people. And they're trying to get around that by branding anybody who stands up for the popular will as a fascist, as a right-winger, and to encourage the elite classes, and particularly the NPCs, the non-player characters, the wannabe elites, that speaking out for their entire agenda and against everything that really is reflective of the popular will, freedom of speech, democratic process, that they'll get their spot in Valhalla as long as they speak out against the things that the elites are against. Then eventually they'll get to be an elite themselves. Right. So, as a reminder, Joe Biden here straight out stood on a stage. They hadn't given him his medication that day, I guess, and told the truth. A truth that a more capable president probably would not have revealed to a room full of reporters with cameras on.
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
That's all the evidence you need.
How will you do that?
What else do you need?
Exactly. Since the project...
So she asked, how are you going to do that?
And control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
There's an unnamed state actor. It's almost like Zorro or something. I don't know, or Superman might be
somebody,
around.
Somebody call in James Bond. We need Inspector Gadget. We need everybody on this to figure out.
Remember they caught the guy?
Who could possibly?
Ukraine
we need
caught
Hannah Montana. We need to call everybody in.
Did you see that when Ukraine had that guy that they caught that they said did it very recently?
No.
Yeah, his name doesn't come up a lot because I'm guessing he's not the guy, but they probably did something like flash a bat signal with a big, black sun of the Himmler SS, and then a hero came and blew it up.
It's the old lone Nordstream bomber trick.
Yeah.
No, guys with scuba gear just blow up pipelines all the time.
That's what they said. Two Ukrainians, not told by Ukraine to do it. Just these guys didn't enlist to fight. They go, we got this. Got a rowboat or whatever, and then went in the bottom of the Baltic Sea, which I don't think anybody has any concept of how hard this is to do.
Of course. But
but the idea of rogue Ukrainians doing it wasn't even the first narrative they went with. At first, of course, we remember Russia. They tried to convince us that Russia did it.
Yeah, but they blew up their own pipeline.
Yeah. That was the narrative at first.
Yeah. Have you seen all the idiots? Theory. You need something called a pig. You put it in it. I'm not going to say who, but it's a moron who suggested Russia use some special device on their end. And obviously that's what it was. Never mind. It's their fucking pipe that they
Of course. Why would they even have to do that? If they really wanted to blow it up, why not just blow it up in their territory and claim it was a Ukrainian drone?
Or just turn it off for a while.
Well, they did that already. It was already off.
Right.
Oh, well.
It was already off, and then they blew it. No, it's just people who accepted the idea that Russia did it. That was every now and then. Look, it's always bad. The propaganda is always bad. It's always very transparent if you're paying attention and if you're informed. But every now and then there's a level of propaganda where you just ask, how fucking mindless do you have to be to hear this and not burst out laughing and then throw the TV out the window to see them saying, yes, well, a lot of people are saying Russia. Like, how do you watch that? Go, yeah, Russia, goddamn Putin.
Oh, you got to be Bill Maher.
Sabotage his own pipeline.
Yeah, he sabotaged his
supporting Gavin Newsom level stupid.
Yes, exactly. Why do I support Gavin Newsom? Well, he can win.
He goes, my girl pointed out, I was watching you guys talk about it. It was a fucking great show, by the way.
Thank you.
He goes, and man, Valuetainment has been taking people apart on certain topics. I have to give it to Valuetainment. He goes, well, what do you like about him? He goes, well, I don't like that he raised taxes. So the first thing out of his mouth is the thing he doesn't like about
how it affects him. also.
Yeah, not what he likes. Well, here's the thing I don't like. He didn't ask you what you don't like. It's obvious why you shouldn't like him, idiot. He goes, I don't follow the news.
I know. So, yeah, I mean, that would be the person who'd be saying Russia blew up their own pipeline and then trying to brainwash their mindless followers into believing it, too. But that one was just amazing, especially when you have Biden in one of his rare lucid moments saying quite clearly that we're going to take out this pipeline. And then you're going to run out after it gets blown up. Where? What? Who could possibly have done it?
Something's finally going our way.
It's just insane.
Hey, come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Bend, Oregon, Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia, Avenel, New Jersey, Boston, Palm Springs, Stockholm, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Berlin, and London. We're adding a second show in London. The first show sold out. See you there.